I close my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew.
Joseph marks the beginning of, one of the most crucial collaborations in the British 20th century theatre.
Well, Joseph was a chapter of accidents, really.
And a schoolmaster friend of ours called Alan Doggett invited us to write something for his end-of-term school play.
We sort of thought of lots of stories. One time we was thinking of sort of doing a spy kind of James Bond type story.
I think then Tim looked through his wonder book of Bible stories and came up with this story of the guy who was exiled and driven into slavery and came back and saved his country and brought it into economic renewal.
And we came up with Joseph. And from that point, back in 1968, March the 1st, when Joseph was first performed, it just grew and grew and grew.
You wouldn't say it was a flawless masterpiece. You'd just say it was a wonderfully fresh, inventive, new piece of musical theatre. I think Tim Rice is right, He once said to me, did I do this? Were we that young, that fresh, that innovative? And it was such a wonderfully unself-conscious piece of writing by them both, just as they started out. And it's got that bloom on it of freshness, immediacy and absolute charm.
The Stephen Pimlott Palladium production, has been, I suppose, probably the best and the most successful around the world, of any Joseph that we've ever had.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, I had seen a production I'd done of Carmen, an arena production. Why he should think I would be a suitable choice for Joseph, I don't know. And as the other piece of work I had on that year was Julius Caesar, I thought it would make a pleasant contrast.
The team responsible was Stephen Pimlott, the director, and Mark Thompson, the designer. They have great operatic experience, even at that stage. They've done quite a lot of work in musical theatre and operas.
I don't know what I really brought to it. I started off like I do with most things, of telling the story. It's a very good story and it's very well told.
You did feel, were they breaking a butterfly on a wheel? Had they taken a hammer to a nut, as it were? And you got the Egyptian slaves coming on like Mediterranean gay waiters in their white miniskirts. And I did think it was a little over the top and probably putting too much strain on it. But I was in a minority of about -1, I think. The audience absolutely loved it.
It's all about listening to the interpretation that leads. All your lives have been a misery in the court ever since he's had these bloody dreams. So it will just free it up a little bit, make it more about listening and a little bit less choreographed. Oh, well, we've had several Josephs. The first was Jason Donovan, who was a lovely guy. At the time, at the height of his career as a pop idol, you couldn't get through the stage door. Actually, every performance, there were thousands of people there. And he was very charming and very fresh and had a certain sort of naivety and innocence, which was marvellous for the part.
I look handsome, I look smart, I am a walking work of art. Such a dazzling coat of many colours, how I love my coat of many colours.
Then came Philip Schofield.
I went to the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith for an audition. And it wasn't really a very auspicious start because he asked if I could do Any Dream Will Do, and I couldn't remember how it finished.
Who had a lovely dry English wit and a sort of mischievous twinkle which suited Tim's lyrics very well, and also he proved himself a wonderful singer.
Andrew had arrived and I said, "Where would you like me to stand?" And he'd said in a very gruff voice, "In the middle might be a good idea." So really it was looking very ugly. I thought, this has not been a very good idea at all. And then a couple of days later, they phoned up and said, "If you want to do it, it's yours."
Then came Donny, who, of course, we have now, who, I mean, comparisons are invidious, and all of them were brilliant in their different ways. But Donny has something, I think, very special. He's able to play both ends of the spectrum, really, the very naive boy who begins the story and the man that he becomes.
I closed my eyes,
the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew.
I was given the script and I thought, oh, this isn't really what I want to do. I want to progress a little bit further because it's typical, you know, Joseph donned in white, long hair, big smile, Donny Osmond, perfect, typecasting. But then I started reading the script a little bit more, and I realized there's a lot more to it than just that cute side of Joseph. There's that roller coaster ride of emotions into the jail and the prison, and eventually he's in charge of Egypt. To be able to pull off someone at 18 years old all the way to 40 years old within about an hour and a half worth of time would be a stretch, would be difficult to pull off and be believable. So I said, let's try it for maybe 6 months. About 6 years later, I said, that's enough.
We certainly never expected it to become anything like the phenomenon it is today. Certainly, anybody writing a 20-minute piece for a school would never expect it, 30 years on, to become one of the world's most performed musicals, having played Broadway, the West End, all over the world, literally, and now being made into a major video film. You just do not expect these things.